What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my 2024 fantasy football season. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section down below. Let me know who's your favorite receiver, where you want to see these guys land in the NFL draft. The NFL draft is definitely going to shake these rankings up quite a bit, so keep that in mind. These are not going to be my rookie draft rankings for sure. Landing spot's going to matter a great deal, draft capital, all of those things. But this is just kind of an initial rankings video to go over kind of where I've got the guys currently and everything like that. So yeah, let's hop into it without further ado. Number one, no surprises here, Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, the reason I have Harrison Jr., ignore these numbers, he didn't test at the combine, but you can see 6'3", 205 pounds, big guy. And then these last 2 years, he's dominated at Ohio State. Biggest things I look for, I'm looking at prospects. I look at their numbers on the field, their production. I watch them play, and then I look at their combine numbers as well to look, see if you can quantify their explosiveness. Some guys, though, aren't as explosive at the combine. Doesn't mean they're not, they still get in the field. Antonio Brown didn't run the fastest 40 times, so that's something to keep in mind. But as you can see, these last two seasons, ridiculous numbers, 1,200 yards each year, 14 receiving touchdowns back-to-back years. Really good year for him. Super tall, good route runner, can high point the ball. Only real thing he has that might be left to be desired is that breakaway speed. Doesn't have that. But he is number one or number two on basically every board that I see. Marvin Harris. Malik Nabers had an awesome year this last year at LSU. His best comparable player, according to his combine numbers, things like that, is Jamar Chase, which everyone should be like, whoa, when you see that. But I mean, just look at this 40-yard dash, 4.4, but 91st percentile, 84th in his speed score, and then his burst score as well. Great breakout age here. You see that really good target share, as well as when you have a target share and a dominator like that. The dominator's not nearly as high, but the target share is. And then you consider you put Brian Thomas Jr. as well, who we're going to talk about in a second. Really a phenomenal receiver. 1,500 yards this last year at LSU, produced all over the field. He's just crazy explosive. I think that's the thing that people are attracted to and why people are ranking him ahead of Harrison. He has this gear that Harrison just does not have. I still have him at 2, but it's very, very, very close to me. If anybody wanted to take Malik Nabers at 1, I would not fault them. I'm purposely going with Marvin Harrison. I think he's going to go to a really good situation. I feel like he could go. There's a good chance he goes to the Cardinals at 4. Who knows what the NFL draft's going to hold. But I wouldn't be surprised if Malik Nabers went at like 6 to the Giants. But yes, believe in him a ton. He's going to be a top dynasty pick, almost regardless of landing positions. He's just that good. Let's hop into our number 3 player, Rome Odunze. Now, Rome had a fantastic year this year as well. This is really a loaded wide receiver class to the max. This is one of the best classes we've seen in maybe 10 years. Obviously, it'll depend what these guys do in the NFL, but Rome Odunze as well, 6'3" wide receiver, 212 pounds. He's got all the numbers you want to see over here. 4.45 for the type of player he is. I was very happy with. His best comparable you can see up here is Justin Jefferson. When Justin Jefferson was coming out of school, my comp for him was Keenan Allen with speed. I think he's met that comp to a great deal, and I think that's kind of a similar one for Rome Odunze. I saw something 1,500 yards this last year at Washington. I saw something recently talking about Rome Odunze. He had an above-average success rate on every single route in the route tree. He's an elite route runner. He can separate. He doesn't have crazy size or crazy speed, but he is good in that area, and he can make all the difficult catches, everything you want to do. A little bit more of a Larry Fitzgerald type than, Malik Nabers, more of an Odell Beckham, Jamar Chase type of receiver. He's definitely more that Keenan Allen, that Larry Fitzgerald mold, but still an absolute stud of a player. And again, I am like these first 3 wide receivers I have on this list, as you can see. These are the top 3 picks for me in every dynasty rookie draft, basically regardless of landing positions. I'm going to bet on these guys' talent. over the next crop of running backs, over these quarterbacks, over all of that. So not a huge surprise, but yeah, just shows the tiers that they are. Next up, I have Brian Thomas Jr., another LSU player. Now, the reason that I have now Brian Thomas Jr., another athletic freak, he's got this height, 6'3", he's 209 as well, which you like seeing a little bit over that 205 mark. And then 4.33. You can see the comparable up here is Christian Watson. I didn't even know that's who it was going to be, but that's who I was going to compare him to. It's just that the height and the speed combination are seen by very few players in football. And then you look at all that combined, and then you see, well, did he produce in the SEC? Yes, he did. 1,100 yards, 17 receiving touchdowns this last year. I think these are the four receivers in my mind that are worthy of a first-round pick. All four of these guys are going to go in the first round, in my opinion. But yeah, I really think all these players are very talented. Brian Thomas Jr. lands with someone like the Bills, which is where I would kind of project him to go currently. I think he would be a great fit there, and I would be really, really excited about him. But you just see corners really struggle to stay in front of Brian Thomas Jr. And I think that's going to continue at the NFL level. I do think he's a tier below, these other guys, but I think it's a lot closer than the public thinks. I think the public thinks all these guys are top 10 picks. Brian Thomas Jr. might get picked in the first round. Brian Thomas Jr., I think, will be a top 20, top 25 selection in this NFL draft. And, okay, so this next guy is just a caveat here before we get to our 5 and 6 ranked players. These are the two hardest guys for me to rank, which one was which. So tier-wise, consider these top 3 guys in tier of their own. Brian Thomas Jr. is in a tier of his own to me. And then this starts another tier of these two guys. And I'm going to start with who I have first. Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas. Had a great combine. Doesn't have the most production. I think that's what was tough for me with these two guys. He's got the height. He ran a great 40. He makes contested catches. Not the best route runner, but has speed and has hands. So height as well. So that's a great combination. You can see very good athlete. But then you come down here, 845 yards last year at Texas. Played previously at Georgia. 11 receiving touchdowns is nice. He also is the guy who has caught a receiving touchdown in every college football game he has played in. That's a great stat to have even when you're a rookie or a freshman, excuse me. But 840 yards on 92 targets, it's not bad, but it leaves more to be desired. I think that's where I'm at with Adonai Mitchell. I still think, though, I think he could be a back of the first round pick. Let's say, the Chiefs or a Bills type team. I think the Bills will end up trading up for a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., but if, let's say, they're not able to do that, I think Adonai Mitchell is probably the next guy that would go in that round. And then we can move on to who I have at 6. Like I said, these are the two hardest guys for me to rank because their profiles are just so different. And I just saw very different things from both of them. Okay, so this next guy up, his name is Troy Franklin from Oregon. Absolute stud last year. 6'2", 176, ran a 4.41. Good 40 time for him. That's a good number. All these other numbers are pretty good. The agility score is as good as you want to see. That speed score is lower because he doesn't weigh a whole lot, 176. And I think that's honestly part of the reason I went with Adonai Mitchell. But the thing is that Franklin has it. He doesn't. He's produced at an elite level. And sure, it was in the Pac-12, but Adonai Mitchell was in the Big 12 this last year. Not all that different, in my opinion, corner-wise. Pac-12 might even be a little better. But this 1,300 yards, he just performs great. He looks like a really smooth player when he's out there. I just, with his measurables, I wasn't the highest on him. And again, he ran a good 40 time. He's got height. I just think he needs to get a little bigger, a little sturdier, and his change of direction skills scared me for a guy that doesn't have size, and you're not able to change directions at an elite rate. So that's one of the things that got me with him. Now, my next receiver up, this guy is a little bit of one of my favorites in the draft of guys that, outside of these top consensus guys. Jermaine Burton from Alabama. I just really liked his tape. Honestly, I might even, if this is my final rankings or if I was going to the draft, I might take Jermaine Burton. I might just pass on Adonai Mitchell and Troy Franklin, wait and get Jermaine Burton maybe in the 3rd round. He might end up being a 2nd round player, who knows. But I think Jermaine Burton will go down a little lower. 4.45, at 6 foot 196. So he's a solid receiver, not too big, but decent numbers and a decent 40 time. I like his burst score as well. That's a good number to see. But when you scroll down here, it's not crazy production by any means, but 58 targets into 800 yards in the SEC. That's pretty good. And I just see a savvy player when I watch him. Just, yeah, gets open, isn't afraid to bounce off of somebody on a route, knows how to, just kind of a mean and savvy receiver, which I really like. And every time I watch him play, I think this guy knows how to play football. So he might not be that dynasty winner for you, but I think he'll be really good for whichever NFL team gets him. And he'll be a guy, yeah, that can come out and produce. And if he gets more targets, like if this guy walks into a role where 2 years from now he's getting 110 targets in an NFL offense, I could easily see him having 70 receptions, being a good player, 900 to 1,000 yards, somewhere in that range. But yeah, I just like the film, honestly. I think that was the biggest thing I kept coming back with Jermaine Burton. That is number one at the end of the day. The next up, I think people are going to be wondering why he wasn't higher, Lad McConkey. And I like his film. I'm not going to lie. I think he looks smooth. I understand all of that when it comes to Lad. But I think it's like 6 foot, 186, ran the 4.39, great numbers. I will say here they don't have, the agility score or whatever. He is a good change of direction player. He's a great route runner. He does all those things really well. I think it's just 478 yards this last year, 762 the year before that. You got to keep that in mind. Was banged up this last year. I do think he's a good player. I don't know if he's, the physical prototype you're going to need to succeed at the next level. So that's one of the things that I worry about. Okay, let's hop into our next player, Jalen Polk from Washington. This was a guy, kind of a late add to my list, to be honest. I had some other guys. He's going to be tough to find. I had some other players ahead of him, and then I watched his film, and I just kept pushing him up the list. I like that 6'1", 203, built receiver. 4.52 isn't bad. I know it says 59th percentile. You're still above average. But yeah, to me, I mean, a 4.5 and a 4.2 or 4.4 is different. It's not crazy different, though, if I like your film a lot better, and I liked his film a lot better than this next receiver that I bumped down a spot. 1,159 yards. Played a lot out of the slot last year at Washington. Kind of played all over the place, to be honest, though. But I just really liked watching him play. It just kind of like that Jermaine Burton guy. Just made a lot of catches. Was constantly, fighting for the ball in the air. Looked like he knows what he's doing way more than the defender. Gets his feet in. Has good body control. All of those things. Body control and a streak of just I'm gonna go be that dog. Go get that ball. So I really like Jalen Polk. Doesn't have crazy measurables, but he's a solidly built guy with decent speed. Moving up to our last player of the day, going to do a few honorable mentions, but it's Roman Wilson, national champion out of Michigan. Roman had a solid year last year. I think if he would have played for a team that needed him more, his stats would have looked a lot better. We're at 4.39, 5.11, 185. When I was watching him play at Michigan, like watching actual games, I thought he moved great. I thought his speed, really, you could tell how quick he is and how he moves. Even more than his long speed, I think you notice his quickness. It's just he hits that top speed and he has a problem with the ball in his hands. Michigan utilized him a lot in that route role last year. 12 receiving touchdowns, really good on 789 receiving yards, only 48 receptions. I think Roman Wilson's a really good player. It's shocking that he's down here at 10. He could easily be a second-round pick in this draft. Just shows how deep this wide receiver class is. And I'd be spending a lot of my Dynasty rookie picks on wide receivers this year, just strategy-wise. I'm going to do a running back video and rank them all once the draft's out and things like that. But be spending these picks, be acquiring picks. So if you're a wide receiver needy team, I think this is a great year to snack up two of these guys in this top 10 or even, I've got some honorable mentions. Xavier Leggett from South Carolina, speedster who's big, who had a phenomenal season this last year. Ricky Purcell from Florida, a really good slot receiver as well. And then Keon Coleman, the basketball player from Florida State. He was on Michigan State's basketball team, so I think there's just more developing to do there. And he made some great catches. It's just you want to see his level of play, his acumen rise to meet that level. as he matures and ages, I think he is going to do that. But those are my honorable mentions. Those guys could even end up in my top 10. Honestly, it's these guys are very close, and it's just I think I took some more of the more refined players in the class where there's so many guys, just because I'm willing to bet on them a little more than some of these projects like Coleman and Leggett. But the projects sometimes end up being the best players 2 3 years from now. So something to keep in mind. And like I said, I'm going to head out. But if you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe, and I am back here in 2024. Thank you guys for watching.